Hey scholars, today we are going to be talking about lesson 2.4, which is types of lines and their slopes, okay? The goal of this lesson is for you to be able to identify and sketch and be able to define what a parallel line is, what perpendicular lines are or planes, and skew lines outside of the coordinate plane. Okay. Also to identify parallel and perpendicular planes and describe relationships of slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines in the coordinate plane. So let's get to it. The first set of notes you have here are the special relationships between pairs of lines or planes. What we see here is a set of perpendicular lines. And so perpendicular lines are lines that intersect to form four right angles. We see one of them here, but there's another one here, there's another one here, and there's another one here. Okay? So lines that intersect to form right angles. Okay? And so the symbol that we use is this upside down T. Okay? So what we're looking at is line L, which is perpendicular to line M. And that's what this is saying here. Line L is perpendicular to line M. Okay, and so whenever you see that symbol, that means there's some perpendicular lines. All right. What about parallel lines? Those are two lines on the same plane, meaning coplanar, that never intersect. So two coplanar lines that never intersect. They're not always two. There could be three, four, but again, they are in the same plane and they will never ever touch. Okay, so that means that they are equidistant from each other. Okay, they're the same exact, at each point, they're the same distance away. So if you measure the distance from here to here, it's going to be the same as the distance from there to there, there to there, there to there. That's never going to change. The distance between the lines will never change. All right, so what is the symbol for that? That's these two lines right here. Okay, so line L is parallel, to line M. So line L is parallel to line M. This is the symbol for parallel. Two lines side by side. Another way to write that is, of course, with line notation, line AB is parallel to line MN. Symbol for not parallel is just a slash through the parallel symbol. Okay. Skew lines. So skew lines are lines that do not intersect and are not coplanar. So they're two lines, once again, that do not intersect and are not coplanar. So they'll never touch, nor are they on the same plane. Let's look at two examples, okay? So here's the notation. Our skew, we're just going to write the word skew, but let's see how they look. So if we look at line DC, and line BF, they are on two different planes. Even though this line intersects that plane, right? So this line BF has a point, right? Doesn't necessarily intersect it. It actually has a point on this plane. Doesn't mean that it's in the same plane. So BF is in plane CBGF or CBFG. And then DC is in plane DCBA. Okay, so they're on two different planes and they will never intersect because this is going to go on forever in this direction and this one is going to go up. Okay, so this is a 2D figure. All right, a line perpendicular to a plane. A line is perpendicular to a plane if it is perpendicular to, so that one, we're going to come back to that, okay? So stay with me. I'm going to actually fill that out in a second. So let's skip that one for now, and let's talk about perpendicular planes. So it says here plane A is perpendicular. Plane A is perpendicular, which is this right here. Plane A is perpendicular to plane B. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Scratch that. Plane A is perpendicular to plane B if plane A contains a line perpendicular to plane B. For example, plane ABE, which is this plane right here, Sorry about that. Plane ABE is perpendicular to plane EFG. EFG, which is right here. EFG, which is the bottom plane. Okay? So if you look at what lines are perpendicular to each other, you'll see that line AE is perpendicular to line EH, right? So when they intersect, they do form a right angle. Alrighty, so these are a set of perpendicular planes. All right, on to the last one, and then actually it is the last one, but like I said, we're going to come back to lines perpendicular to a plane. All right, so parallel planes are planes in a 3D space that do not intersect, and an example of that is plane ABC being parallel to plane HEF. So take a second and identify that yourself. Identify where plane ABC is, and as it compares to plane HEF, are they parallel planes? Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and indicate that. All right, so we have plane ABC, and HEF. Sorry. And HEF, which is down here. Yes, they certainly are parallel planes. These two planes will never ever intersect. They will run parallel to each other forever and ever. And they are also equidistant from each other. Okay? So the next one, and the one that I said that we would return to, is line perpendicular to a plane. So a line is perpendicular to a plane if it is, and so you're going to cross out, well actually no, if it is perpendicular to every, had to white that out because I wrote something wrong there, to every line in the plane that it intersects. All right, so you're going to fill that in. An example of that, and again, let me repeat it. A line is perpendicular to a plane if it is perpendicular to every line in the plane that it intersects. So if we look at line AE, and it states here that line AE is perpendicular to line ADC, and plane ADC. And plane ADC is right here. And it intersects here at a point, or rather it has a point here, but it has a point in common, not a whole line, but it also is perpendicular. AE is perpendicular to this plane. It's also perpendicular to this bottom plane, okay? It's also perpendicular to ADHE, right, because it intersects here. So it's not perpendicular to CBFG because it doesn't intersect it at all. It doesn't touch any point on this plane. Alrighty. Let's go to page 9. So page 9 is going to be the part 2, or rather this part 2, the slope investigation, is going to be the part 2 of this video. So stay tuned.